It wasn't such a long time ago. You cranked and you heaved, and maybe if you did all the right things, you could get that one-cylinder engine to wake up. And she sat there in a duster and a great big hat tied on with a veil. She sat there. There was always the guy who hollered, "Get a horse," and drove one past you to prove his point. Even in those early days, women had an influence on automobiles. But they did get started, and they were going somewhere. People and automobiles. Think how far in half a century. The roads changed from dirt to asphalt as more people bought cars. Autos got better and fancier, with one-man tops, if you'll pardon the expression, and a certain amount of streamlining. Roads were changing again, this time from asphalt to concrete. Women were learning to drive. The American public was at last ready for the family car. That was in 1926, when people were dancing the Charleston. It was a brand new car for Americans, named after a great American, an Indian, Chief Pontiac of the Ottawa tribe. Here was a marvel of engineering and design. No other popular priced car of the day had so many new and unusual features. A car with count them, 6 cylinders instead of the conventional 4. A crankshaft drilled for pressure oiling and dynamically balanced. You could get this car in a variety of colors with a smooth Duco finish. All the engine controls had been removed from the steering wheel and put on the dash with indirect panel lighting. Driving in bad weather was made safer by one of the first automatic windshield wipers. And the ladies loved that new style. Matter of fact, you'd almost say the engineers knew more about style than the dress designers those days. The engineers remembered the night driver, too, and introduced the first foot-controlled dimmer switch. Did the folks need to see any more? All right, one more first, eh? The first popularly priced car with windows that could be rolled up and down. No more tugging, no more sweltering. So the coming out party was a big success. But the Pontiac engineers kept right on searching, testing, improving. Year after year, they made automobile history. Does it seem long ago that Lindbergh flew the Atlantic? That year saw a new fuel pump. It fitted an efficient downdraft carburation system, the same system used on all cars today. They were the first engines with a built-in thermostat. Again, all cars have them now. Remember when Rudy Valley became the top crooner? Then you'll remember the racket the valves used to make. An ingenious valve spring dampener was added and things got quieter. There were no more broken valve springs either. And that same year, every important rotating part in the engine was balanced dynamically. Another important change. The power plant was mounted on a neutral axis. The result, greatly reduced vibration. Then in 1930, when the miniature golf craze swept the country, engine performance was bettered again, this time by tin plating the pistons. It's still done today. And that same year, eliminated transmission noise with a quiet helical second gear. That's the way things went. There were a lot more mechanical improvements in the next few years, a flood of them, including a new straight-eight engine. But by this time, people were becoming style conscious. They were talking about streamlining. So in 1935, the first Silver Streak model blazed out. They called it the most beautiful thing on wheels. More years, more models. Wrong Way Corrigan made headlines the same year Pontiac startled the automobile world by mounting the gear shift lever on the steering column for the first time. Great Britain declared war on Germany, and in 1941, when Kate Smith had everyone singing "God Bless America," in that year alone, the public bought more than 283,000 Silver Streak automobiles. Then, war. Men of the United States dropped the promises, the skills, the successes of civilian life and went to war. Pontiac did the same. Instead of automobiles, Pontiac built fast-barking automatic cannons and deadly aerial torpedoes, 5-inch rockets, 155-millimeter shells, and whatever else its know-how and machines could make to help plain men win a tough fight. It was the first automobile company to be awarded both Army and Navy E's. People remember, and when the war was over and the big parade, those people were waiting eagerly for the big parade of new cars. To meet the peacetime demands, new plants went up all over the country. New assembly plants were erected at Framingham, Massachusetts, Atlanta, Georgia, Kansas City, Missouri, and Wilmington, Delaware. The pre-war assembly plant at Southgate, California, a suburb of Los Angeles, was expanded, and so was the one in Linden, New Jersey. But it was the home plant in Pontiac, Michigan that saw the most activity. Building after building went up to house more and more production and engineering facilities. Where 25 years ago there were only fields and pastures, there now stands one of the most modern automobile factories in the world. 10 miles of railroad track run through those buildings. Yes, the plant's pretty big, all right, but there's an easy way to go through it. A ride on the Chieftain.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to welcome you to the Pontiac factory. As we move through the plant, please observe our safety rules. It takes 8 cupolas to produce molten metal at the rate we use it. Everything is on the move in here, no matter how big or heavy it is, how heavy or how hot. This fellow is pouring engine blocks. This one is cracking them out of the mold. Pontiac builds its own engine, castings and all. A lot of precision machining goes into a block as it moves from the foundry to the assembly line. For surfaces that must be smooth, a whole series of cutting tools shave off metal to exact dimensions. Holes for cylinders and valves are first rough bored, then reamed to close tolerances. It takes hundreds of operations to produce the parts that go into a modern automobile engine. There are parts of almost all sizes and shapes, some strange, some familiar, like valves and valve springs, connecting rods and pistons, oil pump shafts, camshafts, clutch plates, flywheels, and a great many more. And every part must be closely inspected before it goes to the assembly line. All rotating parts, like the crankshaft, are dynamically balanced to minimize vibration. These are checked and rechecked to assure perfect balance. When the block is completely machined, it's ready for the assembly line. Here is where the care used in making those parts pays off. Every piece fits perfectly, will function perfectly. As one operation follows another, an engine takes form. After 213 operations, 23 inspections, the foundry's hot casting becomes a power plant, ready for the testing block. Here they're checked for timing and oil pressure, and final adjustments are made before the transmissions are put on. Here's a hydromatic, but there's more to a car than an engine. Let's look in and see a little of how rear axle assemblies are made. Some of the parts that make up these assemblies are axles, axle housings, springs, gears, and brake drums. Those gears were cut out of a bar and shaved to exact dimension right here. Then hardened just right in the heat treating department to give them long life. Everything goes together under the watchful eyes of the inspectors. While on a nearby line, the front end suspensions are assembled. Then both front and rear finished units start their journey to the main assembly line. In another part of the factory, busy hands are making parts that give beauty and grace to a car. A flat sheet of steel is cut to size. Then it's partially formed and welded. It goes into a giant press that gives it a 300-ton squeeze and comes out looking like a fender. But it still needs a whole battery of presses to perform the many other operations that are necessary to make a fender with smooth and graceful lines. Two complete batteries of presses are used, one for the left fender, one for the right. Then the fenders, hoods, and other pressed parts are sent on conveyors to be painted or plated with chrome. Parts to be painted go through a chemical bath that removes rust and grease. The clean metal gets a primer coat, which is dried in the ovens before the first coat of paint is applied. Then the parts go back to the drying ovens again. In all, 4 coats are applied, each coat baked on. Finally, the buffing operation, to produce a finish that is beautiful, smooth, and lasting. The parts that are to be plated go to another plant, the largest of its kind in the world. More than an acre of steel is plated here every day. Chrome plating is a big job if you do it right. The copper is buffed to a high polish. Not until then are the parts ready for the final tanks, from which they emerge gleaming in their weatherproof armor of chrome. Plated parts and painted parts come together in sub-assembly areas, here to become the front end of an automobile. Because every Pontiac is built to special order, every sub-assembly from bumper to bumper is made for a particular car. Yet all the assemblies and parts of that car must meet at the right place on the main assembly line at exactly the right time. This miracle of coordination is accomplished by the central scheduling office where all incoming orders are received. Here, the customer's preference in color, upholstery, body style, engine, transmission, tires, accessories is telegraphed to 18 departments. Each department sends its parts or sub-assemblies to the main line on a schedule so precise that they arrive at the very second they're wanted. The bodies are also being made to order, 3/4 of a mile away in the Fisher body plant, and they come to the line through a long tunnel. Parts by the thousands flow into the main assembly line from all over the plant, some on trucks, some on conveyors. At the first station on the final assembly line, a frame is placed on the conveyor. More than 10,000 parts will be added to this frame during its journey down the line. The skilled hands of hundreds of men and women will completely assemble an automobile in less than 2 hours' time. The line itself is about 1/3 of a mile long, but for the first 400 feet, the frame travels upside down. Hydraulic brake assembly. There's no clutch pedal on this car, which means it's hydromatic. Perfect timing. This 8-cylinder engine meets the chassis for which it was destined at exactly the right moment. There's no haste, no confusion as these chassis move by. Every piece finds its place. Every hand lends its own special skill. This is teamwork, a kind of teamwork we invented here in these United States. Transportation in the making. Only about half of all the Pontiac automobiles are assembled on this line. The rest are built in the other assembly plant. Rubber shims to cushion the body. And now, for the first time, down on the wheel. Serial number. "58 times an hour on this one assembly line, the right body with the right accessories meets the right chassis with the right engine, transmission, and wheels. 58 times an hour. Remember those front end assemblies? They're right on schedule, too. This perfectly synchronized movement of men and machines is the secret of modern production. It's the thing that makes possible a finer product at a lower cost. Better value, dollar for dollar. End of the line. The world is richer by one automobile as this machine comes to life and moves off under its own power. As they come off, every car must have its wheels aligned. Every car must get a final inspection, the last of some 7,000 that covered all parts and assembly. Every car gets a road test.
For the men who build these, there is satisfaction in watching them roll away. They are proud of them. And they know that every Pontiac Silver Streak automobile will be driven with pride by a satisfied owner. Only the designers and engineers are never satisfied. These are the planners whose eyes are fixed always on the future, who seek forever to achieve new beauty in color, line, and form. New heights of endurance, utility, performance. These are the men whose goal must ever be some further degree of perfection. Every year, Pontiac builds better automobiles. This, then, is the promise for the future. Every Pontiac will continue to be proudly built and proudly owned, as it ever has been through the years.
beauty, gleaming brilliance, and lustrous splendor, no floral pageant can equal Pasadena's glorious Tournament of Roses. Here on New Year's Day is held a festival to which the floral wealth of Southern California contributes in lavish profusion. Flowers of every form, color, and variety, flowers prized for their remarkable beauty and delicate fragrance, make this fete a truly awe-inspiring spectacle. Beauty, radiant beauty, here it is. From the colorful brilliance of the floats themselves to the radiant splendor of each separate rose that proudly stands as the acme of floral perfection. A flower to which John Keats' poetic words, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever," might well apply. The new Pontiac, like the beautiful rose, also stands for perfection. Perfection of beauty, strength, and utility. And it is with the greatest of pride that Pontiac announces 3 smartly attractive automobiles for 1939. A startling big deluxe 6 of entrancing beauty and value with a 120-inch wheelbase. A silky smooth, highly dependable deluxe 8 of similar design and wheelbase, and most important of all, an attractive, high-value, low-priced, economical quality 6 with a 115-inch wheelbase, which is destined to establish a new high standard of value for the entire industry. What can describe the glamorous appearance of this new motor car? The magic of words, the colors of the artist, the beauty of song. It would take all to express the beauty and smartness of this, the newest member of the Pontiac family, the new Pontiac Quality 6. For the 5th consecutive year, Pontiac's glistening and glamorous silver streak, flanked on either side by artistic vents which cleverly define the radiator shell, lends a new degree of charm and distinction from bumper to cowl. Thrilling to observe is the shapely contour of Pontiac's sleek, streamlined alligator-type hood, which rests snugly between 2 broad, newly designed fenders with slightly ridged crowns, and merges artistically with the sparkling setting afforded by Pontiac's new chrome grills, which direct an abundant supply of cooling air to the radiator. A sprinkling of detail refinements, such as new bumper and bumper guards, new frankly modern radiator ornament, which serves also as a dual safety hood lock, new radiator nameplate, newly designed headlamps, which merge gracefully with the fenders, new wheels with chromed hubcaps of distinctive design, and sparkling chrome hood grills complete the pleasing front ensemble. Thrilling is Pontiac's shapely yacht-line silhouette, made possible by General Motors' skillful designing and painstaking research. New and artistic is the shapely rear design, whose smartly fashioned rear license bracket and light grace the center of the luggage compartment door, the light also serving to illuminate the trunk lock. The spacious interior of this roomy compartment is made possible by placing the spare tire against the rear seat back, by eliminating the wooden shelf, and by providing a convenient tool compartment with hinged door below the trunk floor. But Pontiac's new beauty is by no means confined to its brilliant exterior. Wide doors open to reveal the same flat floors, custom type upholstery, safety roll and robe cord, which enhanced the value of Pontiac for 1938 and have again been retained and further enhanced by newly designed chrome hardware with flat plastic knobs. Improved visibility is made possible by the single-pane rear window and the narrower windshield corner posts. A new rear quarter window control permits the glass to slide backwards without swinging. The roomy, spacious front compartment, steering wheel, steering column, safety shift lever, emergency brake lever, pedal pads, floor mat, radio and heater, all finished in warm tan, blend harmoniously with the new curved instrument panel, which is finished in California walnut, flanked top and bottom with panels of rich, solid brown. The glass-enclosed instrument group on the left of the panel is artistically balanced by the glove compartment door on the right, while the lower center section is recessed to receive the safety control knobs in molded plastic. Pontiac's new T-spoke steering wheel provides a new degree of safety by permitting an unobstructed view of the instrument panel. And the safety shift gear control, standard on all models, promises newer and fuller motoring pleasure for 1939. Through skillful engineering of the same type as used in the design and construction of streamlined trains, improvements have been made in performance and economy without sacrificing Pontiac's rugged stamina in any way. In addition to the numerous features of the Quality 6, the two deluxe models have more front seat width, more legroom, more glass area with resulting improved vision, lower floors which are practically level with the curb, making running boards or skirts optional, more useful trunk space, chrome belt molding which enhances outward appearance, and concealed door hinges which add materially to the exterior beauty of the car. More than ever before, this spectacular line of 3 new cars, the Deluxe 6, the Deluxe 8, and most important of all, the Quality 6, set even higher the rigid Pontiac requirements of safety, performance, and economy. And any one of the trio may safely be called the car you'll be proud to own in 1939. Every year throughout the nation, north, east, south, and west, the eyes of America, young and old alike, are focused on a most thrilling, a most spectacular game of action, football. The thud of pigskin on cleated boot, the flashing speed of agile runners, the crashing impact of hurtling players send surging thrills of high excitement through the crowded